Yo, 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 Don Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Don Mafia Report. Guys, I know that it's been about a week since I posted my last video. There was a couple of reasons why. Number one, I was out of town. Number two, I'm sure a lot of you remember that I was having audio issues with the past couple of my videos. I thought that my microphone was broken. So I go out and then I buy this beauty, which, don't get me wrong, it's a huge upgrade to the channel, but it turns out that the issue with my microphone was my computer. Who were to know that postponing a software update for a year and a half would have any type of adverse effect on your computer? I just so happened to learn that the hard way. But hey, now I have a nice mic, and now you can listen to my nasally voice in the clearest capacity possible. Don Mafia, I have been getting comments after comments, especially throughout the past couple of videos of, Dan, you need to do a mock draft. Now, I have said this before, I'm always, sort of skeptical of doing these mock drafts, not until the NFL Combine happens. But you know what? I figured, why not? Let's just do a way too early mock draft, and let's actually do it together, right? So we could sort of walk through it, and I can explain my reasoning. I do plan on doing a lot of these throughout the offseason because, like I said, there's going to be different things, and certain things are going to change. So we'll go on ahead and we'll just make that happen. All right, guys, say that you have a Twitter account or say that you've been following Buffalo Bills draft topics. You've most likely heard of this site, thedraftnetwork.com, where it allows you to actually go through a mock draft and basically act as your own team's general manager. And this is exactly what the solution we will be using in today's video. Before we do that, though, I thought that we should sort of look at the Buffalo Bills' needs. Starting off, right as you can see, it looks like that from what some of the experts are saying, the Buffalo Bills' primary needs are an edge rusher, which I can definitely tell you that, a wide receiver, that's probably the most popular take when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, an interior defensive lineman. So, I mean, that sort of makes you question, are they thinking that they're going to make Jordan Phillips walk? I mean, apparently, according to the experts, we need to be targeting an interior defensive lineman. Secondary, a cornerback, which is interesting, especially because you're looking at Levi Wallace, who has been subject to a lot of criticism throughout this season, mostly because he's a zone corner. And then with Kevin Johnson, or maybe the experts think that we just needed to get some CB depth. Then it goes into running back, and then it goes into interior offensive line for our secondary needs. And then our ancillary needs, we need an offensive tackle, a linebacker, and a tight end. So with that in mind, let's go on ahead. Let's just dive into this draft, and let's see if we could pick some winners. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Buffalo Bills are now on the board. Like I said before, our primary needs are an edge rusher, a wide receiver, or an interior defensive lineman. We have Laviska Shenault on the board, who has been very widely talked about this offseason, especially amongst Bills fans. Some of the negative reports on Shenault is the fact that his route running is not as crisp as it should be. So that's a red flag for me. But then you also have Gross Matos, an edge rusher out of Penn State. And so while Gross Matos is very, very talented edge rusher, me as a Bills fan, I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that we end up signing Yannick Ngakoue, and then we end up bringing Shaq Lawson back as well. So I think that will be okay on that end. Don't get me wrong, that's still a need in our draft that we need to go. But with that being said, I am going to be drafting Laviska Shenault to the Buffalo Bills for the 22nd pick. All right, guys, we are on the board again. I do understand that going back right to our initial page of the Buffalo Bills needs, that our running back is only a secondary need, but we have a gentleman named J.K. Dobbins on the board right now. He's been largely ignored. He's from Ohio State. Very, very talented running back. Now, we obviously have Devin Singletary. But if the Buffalo Bills revert to what I believe their identity should be, which is a run-first team, similar to sort of how the 49ers ran things, I would love to see J.K. Dobbins and Devin Singletary share the backfield. Now, there has been rumors that Frank Gore is going to come back to the Buffalo Bills next year, which would be awesome. I mean, I love that leadership in the locker room itself. And so when you have a running back that's this good and is still available during the second round, I just can't pass up on him. Second round, the 54th pick, Buffalo Bills are selecting J.K. Dobbins. And so, yeah, I know, I'm being super risky right now. I mean, just completely drafting an offense right now. But honestly, the Buffalo Bills are very strong defensively. And so wouldn't mind focusing the majority of our cap space during free agency on our defense, and then we can just sort of focus on the offense in the draft, and then maybe get a couple of picks that way as well. Okay, so now we are at the 86th pick, third round. We already drafted a wide receiver. We ended up taking a running back relatively early, but like I said, he was just too good to pass up on, especially still being available in the second round. So now let's start looking at some of our more primary needs. And so like I said, we do need an interior defensive lineman. That's assuming that Jordan Phillips is going to walk. But there really isn't a lot to work with in this round. I mean, you need to scroll all the way down right before you even see somebody that's available right now. But I do see one of our primary needs in the first round, and that's going to be Jabari, very talented edge rusher. That was a Florida Gator. I think that he would be tremendous depth. Say, for example, that we can't agree on a deal with Shaq Lawson, or we just don't bring in an edge rusher right within free agency. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go on ahead and I am going to draft Jabari right now. Look at that, guys. It is the fourth round right now, and the interior defensive lineman that I was looking at during the third round is still on the board. That is Jason Strourbridge. I think that we're going to have to draft this guy. Now, let's put it this way. We know that Ed Oliver and then Mr. Phillips were rotating throughout the season itself, but it's more and more likely that Phillips will not be a Buffalo Bill next year, so no wonder an interior DL is one of our primary needs. So with that being said, looking at Jason, he started off as a defensive end, but then eventually he ended up making that transition to the interior of the defensive line. Unfortunately, this is something that we might need to work on. Since he's made that transition right over from defensive end, he's had a hard time adjusting to double teams. Now, so I can't be too upset about this because this guy is in the fourth round right now, and we already have Ed Oliver, and we still have Harrison Phillips, who will most likely be 100% by the time week one rolls around in 2020. So with that being said, I think that Jason is going to be fantastic depth, and who knows, maybe we get a sleeper. All right, guys, we are in the fifth round right now. So like I said, we basically knocked out all of our primary needs with an edge rusher, a wide receiver, and so then a D lineman as well. So now, since we already ended up taking a running back during our second pick, which is a secondary need, now we can sort of look at some of the other needs that we have, which is either a cornerback or an O-lineman. So looking at what is available right now, looks like we're going to have to dig a little deep. So scrolling down, I'm really not seeing anything that's like jumping out at me, especially when it comes to cornerbacks. Like, I mean, you legitimately need to scroll down for what seems like ages to find somebody that would be worth picking up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draft, wait for it, another receiver. I know, crazy as hell. So I'm going to have to go with Michael Pittman Jr. I know that a lot of Bills fans are very excited about this guy, and look at that. He's still available in the fifth round. So with that being said, second wide receiver is going up on the board. Like I said, we ended up picking two wide receivers already. We have an edge rusher. We have a D lineman as well. Now we really need to look into either a cornerback or an offensive lineman, or maybe even an offensive tackle. So let's look at what we got here. And so right now, looking at this pick, it looks like that the only player that I think that would be worth picking up right now is Jack Driscoll. He is going to be an offensive tackle from Auburn University. I think that this would be very good offensive depth, very good offensive lineman depth, and then hopefully we'll be able to make this happen. And so I'm going to pick up Jack Driscoll, and so an offensive tackle, and we're going to make it happen. All right, so sixth round here. Now I really just want to go on ahead and I just want to, really fill the rest of our needs. We only have a couple more picks left. So what I'm going to have to do is let's look at Justin Strand, linebacker from Wake Forest. I think it would be good depth. I mean, we definitely have a lot of shoes to fill. And so especially with the retirement of Lorenzo Alexander, I don't necessarily see Justin stepping up and being that guy right now, but worst case scenario, it's fantastic depth. So I'm going to draft Justin Strnad. And all right, we get to our second pick in the 6th round. We addressed linebacker, offensive tackle, running back. We still need to look for a cornerback. We still need to look for another offensive lineman and a tight end. So with that being said, I'm going to have to go with Jonah Jackson out of Ohio State. Not sure if he's going to be able to be a starter the second that he comes in, but you never know. I mean, we're in the 6th round here. Back again for another 6th round pick. We're going to have to go with Reggie Robinson the second. I'm not seeing him becoming a starter immediately. I just really hope that we can re-sign Kevin Johnson, and we can also sort of see some more consistency from Levi Wallace next year itself. But Reggie Robinson the second, congratulations, you are a Buffalo Bill. And so, all right, guys, that is the conclusion of the draft. Let's just take a look real fast. We ended up taking Laviska Shenault Jr., the very first pick that we had. Hopefully that addresses that big target that Josh Allen so desperately needs. Then we went with J.K. Dobbins. Maybe not the most popular pick, especially since this was only a secondary need for us, but imagine a backfield with J.K. and Devin Singletary next year. Run the damn ball, baby. Then we ended up going with Jabari, an edge rusher out of Florida, Jason Strawbridge from North Carolina, Michael Pittman Jr., another wide receiver from USC, one guy that a lot of Bills fans have been very, very excited about, Jack Driscoll, the offensive tackle, Justin Strnad, the linebacker, Jonah Jackson, an O-lineman, and then Reggie Robinson the second, our cornerback. So that's basically going to be my first mock draft, guys. Do me a favor, leave a comment. How did I do? How did your mock draft look like? So let me know where I made mistakes, what you would have done differently. Let's really start this conversation. I'm getting so pumped for the offseason, believe it or not. I really want to see the Bills make the moves that are necessary. Once again, Dom Mafia, thank you again for tuning in to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. Say that you're new here. I highly recommend subscribing to the channel. I consistently put out Buffalo Bills and NFL-related videos. So say that you want to be a part of the family, then be a part of the family. And we'll see you next time, and let's go Buffalo.